I poured my heart and $150,000 into my son's Napa Valley wedding, only for him to grab the mic and rip my soul apart, mocking me as a fool before 600 sneering guests. The agony cut deeper than any knife. My late husband's ring my only anchor, until the bride's mother rose, her words a blazing truth that froze the room in shame. I'm Eleanor Thompson, 65 years old, a widow who thought love could outlast sacrifice. The Napa Valley Hotel sprawls before me, its stone arches draped in ivy, vineyards stretching under a California sunset. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over 600 guests in tuxedos and silk gowns, their laughter mingling with the clink of wine glasses. The air smells of roses and oak barrels, a testament to the $150,000 I poured into this day for my son James. I sit at a table near the edge, my fingers tracing the gold wedding band I wear on a chain, a relic of my late husband, William. Its weight steadies me, a quiet promise that I belong here, even if the room doesn't know it yet. James, my only son, stands at the head table, his tuxedo crisp, his smile wide as he taps the microphone. "What a night," he says, his voice booming. "This place is unreal, right?" The crowd cheers, glasses raised. He's 34, confident, the kind of man who owns a room. Sophie Bennett, his radiant bride, beams beside him, her hand on his arm. Clara Bennett, Sophie's mother, sits across the room, her navy dress elegant, her gaze sharp but kind. My sister, Maggie Larson, leans toward a guest, whispering, "Ellie's always been the practical one. She scrimped for this wedding." Her tone is fond, but it stings, like a paper cut I pretend not to feel. I keep my spine straight, my hands folded, the ring warm against my chest. James scans the crowd, his eyes skimming past me. "Let's get this party started," he says. But first, a shout out to my mom, who's probably still checking receipts. A ripple of laughter spreads. I force a smile, my heart tightening. The band strikes a chord, and the room tilts toward James. I grip the ring, whispering to myself, "Breathe, Ellie. 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out." The night is young, but the ache has already found its seat. The Napa Valley ballroom pulses with life, its chandeliers casting prisms across linen-draped tables, each set with crystal stemware that catches the light like stars trapped in glass. I, Eleanor Thompson, sit at the edge of this glittering sea, my fingers curled around the gold wedding band on its chain, the last piece of William that still speaks to me. The air hums with the clink of forks and the murmur of 600 guests, their voices rising like a tide. My son, James Thompson, stands at the center of it all, his tuxedo sharp, his grin sharper, holding the microphone as if it's a scepter. "Let's talk about family," he says, his voice smooth as the Napa Cabernet being poured. "My mom, Ellie, she's got a knack for pinching pennies, always has." The crowd chuckles, a soft wave that laps at my feet. I keep my smile steady, practiced over decades of small slights, but my chest tightens, the ring a cool weight against my skin. James leans into the spotlight, his eyes skimming the room, never quite landing on me. "You know, Mom's got this little hobby," he continues, "buying up old houses, calling them investments. She thinks she's building a real estate empire." The laughter swells, louder now, rolling across the tables like a gust through the vineyards outside. A groomsman claps a buddy on the back. A woman in a sequined dress near the bar snorts into her glass. I adjust my napkin, folding it precisely, as if symmetry could shield me. "Breathe, Ellie," I whisper to myself. 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out. The rhythm steadies me, but the sting lingers, sharp as a paper cut left to bleed. Maggie Larson, my older sister, leans toward a couple at the next table, her voice carrying just enough to reach me. "Ellie's always been frugal," she says, her tone warm but edged with pity. "She scrimped for years to raise James right. Now she's got these little side projects to keep busy." The couple nods, their smiles polite, the kind you offer a child showing off a clumsy drawing. I press the wedding band, its edges familiar as a prayer. I think of the nights I sat at my kitchen table, a calculator in one hand, a stack of bills in the other, while James slept upstairs, dreaming of a future I paid for in 12-hour shifts and skipped dinners. The memory is a weight, heavy as the mortgage I carried alone after William's accident on Highway 29, when a drowsy trucker stole him from us. James isn't done. He paces the stage, the mic an extension of his charm. "Mom's got this thing for spreadsheets," he says, grinning. She calls it consulting. I keep telling her, "Mom, retire already. Let us young folks handle the big stuff." The room erupts, laughter crashing like a wave that drags silverware in its wake. A man in a bow tie raises his glass in my direction, a mock toast. "To Ellie's empire of pennies," he calls, and the table around him roars. I lift my water glass, my hands steady, my eyes soft, as if I'm in on the joke. But the humiliation tastes bitter, like coffee left too long on the burner. I breathe again, 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, anchoring myself to the chair, to the ring, to the woman William once told to stand tall. Across the room, Clara Bennett, Sophie's mother, watches from the family table. Her navy dress catches the chandelier's glow, her posture calm but alert, like a hawk scanning a field. Our eyes meet briefly, and her gaze holds something I can't name, recognition, perhaps, of a woman who knows the cost of being underestimated. Sophie, radiant in her white gown, squeezes James's arm. Her smile faltering just enough to notice. She glances at me, then away, as if unsure whether to laugh or intervene. The band softens, waiting for James's next line. He taps the mic, warming to his audience. "Seriously, Mom's got a knack for finding deals," he says. "She could probably haggle the price of this wedding down to a couple grand." More laughter, sharper now, like shards of glass underfoot. Maggie leans in again, her voice louder. "Ellie's always been like that," she tells another guest. "She'd clip coupons for a yacht if she could." The table chuckles, and I feel the room shrink me, reducing a lifetime of choices to a punchline. I keep my seat, my hands folded, the wedding band a silent ally. I think of the years after William's death, when I balanced ledgers for a local winery by day and typed invoices for a hardware store by night, all to keep James in school, in cleats, in hope. Those numbers weren't a hobby, they were a lifeline. But James doesn't see that. He sees a mother who's trying too hard, a widow who should rest. The crowd's laughter fades, but the ache in my chest grows, a bruise pressed too hard. I breathe 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, knowing the worst is yet to come. James catches my eye, his grin unwavering, and I brace myself for the moment he'll call me to the stage, where the spotlight will burn hotter and the pain will cut deeper. The Napa Valley ballroom feels like a furnace, its golden light scorching my skin as the laughter from James's latest jab, "Mom could haggle this wedding down to a couple grand," still echoes off the ivy-covered walls. The 600 guests, their faces blurred by chandelier's glare, seem to lean closer, feeding on the spectacle. I sit rigid, my fingers locked around the gold wedding band on its chain, its edges biting into my palm. The band, William's last gift, is my lifeline, but even it can't dull the blade of this moment. James, my son, strides across the stage, his tuxedo gleaming, his grin a polished weapon. "Hey, Mom," he calls, his voice booming through the microphone, sharp enough to cut glass. "Why don't you come up here? Let's give everyone a real treat." The crowd roars, a mix of cheers and jeers, their wine glasses glinting like a sea of judgmental eyes. My heart pounds, a drumbeat of dread, but I rise, smoothing my simple navy dress, and walk toward the stage, each step heavier than the last. As I climb the 3 steps, the spotlight hits me like a slap, hot and unrelenting. I stand beside James, the microphone a cold threat in his hand. "Come on, Mom," he says, his tone dripping with mock affection. "Tell us your best money, saving tip. Everyone's dying to hear how you stretch $1. The room erupts, laughter crashing like a storm surge, sweeping away any shred of dignity I've clung to. A man in a pinstripe suit yells, "Get her a coupon book!" Another voice chimes in, "Bet she's got a ledger in her purse?" I force a smile, my lips trembling. The kind of smile you wear when the world is watching and you've nowhere to hide. My throat burns, tears prick like needles, but I swallow them down, gripping the wedding band so tightly it might leave a mark. Breathe, I whisper to myself. 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out. But the air feels thin, like I'm drowning in a room full of oxygen. Maggie Larson, my sister, sits at a nearby table, her eyes glinting with a mix of pity and amusement. She leans toward a guest, her voice loud enough to carry. "Ellie's not used to the spotlight," she says, as if explaining a child's tantrum. "She's always been better with numbers than crowds." The guest nods, chuckling, and I feel the room shrink me further, reducing me to a caricature, a frugal widow, a relic out of place in this opulent Napa Valley hotel. I think of the nights I spent after William's death, hunched over a laptop in our modest Sacramento home, balancing budgets for a roofing company to pay for James's college tuition. Those nights weren't a joke. They were a vow to give him a life I never had. But here, under this spotlight, they're fodder for laughter. James hands me the microphone, his grin unwavering, as if this is a gift. "Go on, Mom," he says, loud enough for the back tables to hear. "Share your wisdom. Maybe something about thrift stores?" The crowd howls, a sound that claws at my chest, tearing open old wounds. I hold the mic, its weight like a stone, and for a moment, I consider speaking, telling them about the 80-hour weeks, the foreclosed properties I turned into profit, the empire I built in the shadows. But my voice catches, trapped behind years of silence, years of letting James's needs eclipse my own. I shake my head, hand the mic back, and murmur, "Not tonight." The crowd laughs harder, thinking I've chickened out. James shrugs, playing to their delight. "See? Classic Mom, too shy to shine," he says, and the room cheers, oblivious to the blood they're drawing. I step down, my legs unsteady, the spotlight burning my back. Sophie Bennett, radiant in her gown, watches from the head table, her smile gone, her eyes flickering with unease. Clara Bennett, her mother, sits still, her gaze locked on me, a quiet intensity in her posture. I return to my seat, the wedding band my only anchor, its gold warm from my grip. Maggie reaches over, patting my hand. "You did fine, Ellie," she whispers, but her words are a bandage on a broken bone. The pain is a living thing now, a beast that roars louder with each laugh, each glance that dismisses me. I breathe 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, but it's not enough. The room feels like a cage, and I'm the exhibit, my sacrifice mocked under Napa's glittering lights. As the band cues up for the next toast, I brace myself, knowing James's words have carved a wound that will bleed into the next moment, where the spotlight will burn even hotter. The Napa Valley ballroom holds its breath. The chandeliers glow frozen like a held note, their light glinting off the crystal wine glasses on tables still vibrating with the echo of laughter at my expense. My navy dress feels like armor too thin to protect me, the gold wedding band on its chain a burning coal against my chest. The sting of James's mockery, "Classic Mom, too shy to shine," lingers like smoke, curling around the 600 guests who turned my sacrifice into a punchline. I sit, my hands folded, the rhythm of my breath 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, barely holding back the tears that threaten to spill. The band hovers, their instruments silent, as if sensing a storm. James, my son, stands center stage, his tuxedo a perfect fit, his grin unshaken, ready to pivot to the next toast. But the air shifts, heavy with something unspoken, as Clara Bennett, Sophie's mother, rises from the family table. Clara's navy dress catches the light like a blade, her posture commanding, her eyes sharp enough to cut through the room's haze. Without a word, she strides to the stage, her heels clicking on the polished oak floor, each step a verdict. James blinks, caught off guard, as she extends a hand for the microphone. "May I?" she says, her voice low but ironclad, leaving no room for refusal. He hands it over, his smile faltering. The crowd leans forward. Glasses paused midair, forks stilled on plates. Clara turns, facing James first, then the sea of guests. "James," she says, her tone slicing through the ballroom's hum. "You don't know who your mother island." The words land like a thunderclap, and the room freezes, the silence so thick it could choke the chandeliers. I grip the wedding band, its edges grounding me as my heart races. Clara's eyes sweep the crowd, steady as a lighthouse in a squall. "Eleanor Thompson isn't a hobbyist clipping coupons or tinkering with spreadsheets," she says, her voice rising, clear and unyielding. "She's the founder and chairman of Thompson Investments, a firm that quietly manages a real estate portfolio worth $120 million, including this very resort you're standing in." A gasp ripples through the tables, like wind over a vineyard. Guests exchange glances, some reaching for their phones, fingers trembling as they search for proof. James's face drains of color, his mouth opening, then closing, like a man who's stepped off a cliff expecting solid ground. Sophie, radiant but shaken, grips the edge of her chair, her eyes darting from Clara to me, wide with dawning realization. Clara doesn't pause. "When my family's winery faced bankruptcy 2 years ago," she continues, "when banks turned us away and suppliers cut us off, it was Ellie's firm that stepped in. Her capital kept our barrels aging, our vines growing, our workers paid. She didn't just save us, she rebuilt us." Her words are a hammer, shattering the room's smug certainty. A man who'd toasted my empire of pennies stares at his glass, his knuckles white. Maggie Larson, my sister, shifts in her seat, her face a mask of shock, her earlier pity now a bitter aftertaste. I keep my seat, my spine straight, the wedding band warm under my touch, as if William is whispering, "Stand tall, Ellie." My breath steadies 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, but my pulse thunders, the truth a wildfire I didn't ignite but can't look away from. The crowd recalculates me, their eyes reassessing the woman they'd dismissed. A woman in a pearl necklace whispers my name, Eleanor Thompson, as if testing its weight. A groomsman who'd laughed loudest folds his napkin, suddenly fascinated by its creases. Clara's gaze finds me, not asking for permission but offering respect, a silent nod that says she sees the years I've carried in silence. "Ellie doesn't flaunt her work," she says, turning back to James, who stands frozen, the microphone's absence a wound. She lets her results speak. "You thanked the wrong people tonight, James. You mocked the woman who paid for this stage. This night, your life." Her voice doesn't waver, each word a stone laid in a path of reckoning. James stumbles back a step, his tuxedo no longer armor but a costume too big for him. Sophie's hand hovers near his, uncertain, her face a map of conflict. The bandleader glances at his sheet music, unsure whether to break the silence. I press the wedding band, its warmth a reminder of nights spent building something no one saw until now. The room's laughter has turned to ash, and I feel the weight of 600 eyes, no longer mocking but searching. Clara sets the microphone down with a soft click, the sound louder than any applause. I breathe, knowing the truth has claimed its place. But the ache in my chest warns me this isn't the end. Sophie's eyes meet mine, a flicker of resolve forming, and I sense the stage is set for her to speak, to demand what James owes me next. The Napa Valley ballroom hangs in a stunned hush, the chandelier's light dimmed by the weight of Clara Bennett's words. Her revelation about my role as chairman of Thompson Investments still reverberating like a bell struck too hard. The 600 guests sit frozen, their wine glasses forgotten, their earlier laughter now a ghost haunting the polished oak floor. I clutch the gold wedding band on its chain, its warmth a faint pulse against my skin, as if William is steadying me through this storm. James, my son, stands on the stage, his tuxedo rumpled, his face pale as the linen tablecloths, the microphone gone from his hand, his confidence shattered. Sophie Bennett, his bride, rises from her seat, her white gown catching the light like a beacon. Her eyes, sharp with resolve, lock onto James, then flicker to me, carrying a fire I hadn't seen before. The room holds its breath, the band's instruments stilled, the air thick with anticipation. Sophie steps forward, her heels echoing in the silence, and takes the microphone from the lectern where Clara left it. "James," she says, her voice steady but edged with steel. "You owe your mother an apology. Right here, right now, in front of everyone." The crowd gasps, a collective inhale that ripples across the tables. James blinks, his hands twitching at his sides, as if searching for something to hold on to. "Sophie, he starts, but she cuts him off, her gaze unwavering. "No excuses. I married you because I believed you valued family. Prove it, or there's no first dance tonight." Her words are a gauntlet thrown, and the room leans in, every eye pinned to the stage. My heart pounds, the wedding band a lifeline as I breathe 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, bracing for what comes next. James's face crumples, the charm he wielded like a weapon now nowhere to be found. "I didn't know," he stammers, his voice cracking through the microphone. "Mom, I thought you were just—" He trails off, his eyes darting to the crowd, then to me, wide with panic. The guests shift, their earlier mockery replaced by unease, their phones stilled as they witness a man unraveling. Clara stands at the edge of the stage, her navy dress a pillar of quiet strength, her nod to Sophie a silent approval. Maggie Larson, my sister, grips her napkin, her earlier certainty replaced by a flush of shame. I keep my seat, my hands steady, the ring's edges pressing into my palm, a reminder of the years I built in silence while James took the spotlight. Sophie steps closer to James, her voice softer but no less firm. "You made her a joke, James. You stood here in a wedding she paid for and turned her into a punchline. Do you know what that cost her?" Her eyes flick to me, a flash of apology in them, then back to her husband. James swallows, his throat bobbing, and turns to face me, the microphone trembling in his hand. "Mom," he says, his voice barely above a whisper, then louder, raw with regret. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't know what you've done for me. For all of us. I'm so sorry." The words break, and a tear slips down his cheek, glinting under the spotlight. The crowd murmurs, a low hum of acknowledgement. Some guests bowing their heads, others exchanging glances as if recalculating their own missteps. I meet James's gaze, my eyes steady but soft, the wedding band warm against my chest. I don't speak, not yet. The silence between us is a bridge, fragile but real, and I let it hold. Sophie places a hand on James's arm, her touch both a comfort and a demand. "Mean it," she says quietly. "Just for him." But the microphone catches it, amplifying her resolve. A woman near the bar sets down her glass, the clink loud in the quiet. A groomsman who'd laughed at my empire of pennies stares at the floor, his hands clasped tight. Clara watches, her expression unreadable, a guardian of the truth she set free. I breathe 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, feeling the room shift, the weight of their judgment lifting, replaced by something heavier, accountability. The band leader hesitates, his baton poised, as if waiting for permission to move on. But the moment belongs to us, me, James, Sophie, and the truth that Clara unleashed. I nod once, a small gesture, not forgiveness yet, but an acknowledgement that James has taken the first step. The crowd exhales, a collective release, but the tension remains, a thread stretched taut. Sophie hands the microphone back to the lectern, her eyes lingering on me, a promise of something more to come. I press the wedding band, its warmth a quiet strength, knowing this apology is only the beginning, that the room's reckoning will deepen as the night unfolds. The Napa Valley ballroom exhales, its chandeliers casting a softer glow, as if the light itself is learning to tread lightly after Clara's revelation and Sophie's ultimatum. The silence that followed James's tearful apology lingers, a fragile bridge between us, stretched across years of misunderstanding. I sit, my hands open on the linen, the gold wedding band on its chain warm against my chest, a quiet reminder of William's steady voice urging me to stand tall. The 600 guests, their laughter long extinguished, shift in their seats, their eyes darting between me and James, who stands on the stage, his tuxedo sagging like borrowed courage. Sophie, her white gown a faint shimmer, stands beside him, her hand still on his arm, a tether to the man she hopes he can become. The band remains hushed, their instruments poised, as if the music itself waits for permission to heal the room. James steps down from the stage, his steps uneven, the microphone abandoned. He approaches my table, his face raw, stripped of the polish he wore like armor. "Mom," he says, his voice low, trembling with a weight it's never carried before. "I didn't just hurt you tonight. I've been hurting you for years, haven't I? Thinking I was protecting you, when I was just making you small." His words falter, but they land true, each one a stone lifted from the pile between us. I meet his eyes, my gaze steady, not soft, not hard, but clear. "You saw what was easy to see," I say, my voice even, cutting through the hum of the ballroom. "But seeing isn't enough, James. You have to listen." He nods, his shoulders slumping, as if the truth is a weight he's only now learning to carry. Maggie Larson, my sister, rises from her table, her steps hesitant, her usual certainty unraveled. She clutches her purse like a shield, her face flushed with a shame she can't hide. "Ellie," she says, stopping short of my chair, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I was helping, telling you to rest, to stop chasing. Whatever I thought you were chasing. I was wrong. You weren't chasing. You were building." Her eyes glisten, and for the first time, I see her without the armor of older sister wisdom. I press the wedding band, its edges grounding me, and nod once. "I needed you to see me, Maggie," I say, my tone calm but firm. "Not your version of me." She swallows, her hand hovering, then falling. "I see you now," she murmurs and steps back, leaving space for the truth to settle. Guests begin to approach, tentative, like pilgrims nearing a shrine they hadn't known existed. A man who'd mocked my penny empire clears his throat, his tie loosened. "Mrs. Thompson," he says, his voice rough. "I shouldn't have laughed. I didn't know what you've done." I lift my water glass, set it down with a deliberate click. "You know now," I say, my eyes meeting his, offering neither absolution nor scorn. A woman in a velvet shawl, who'd chuckled at James's thrift store jab, offers a quiet, "You're an inspiration." I nod, my smile small but real, the wedding band a steady pulse against my skin. Clara Bennett watches from her table, her navy dress a quiet anchor, her gaze a silent salute. Sophie, still beside James, squeezes his hand, her eyes on me, carrying a promise of alliance. The room softens, the chandelier's light no longer a spotlight, but a warmth that holds us all. I breathe 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, feeling the beast of humiliation shrink. Its claws dulled by the weight of truth. "Listening isn't a gift, James," I say, my voice clear, meant for him, but loud enough for the nearest tables. "It's a habit. Start practicing it." He nods again, slower, his eyes red but focused, as if seeing me for the first time. Sophie whispers something to him, her words lost to the crowd but firm in their intent. The band leader lifts his baton, testing the air, but I hold James's gaze, knowing this moment is only a beginning. The room's reckoning has started, but the lessons I've learned, the ones I'll share, are waiting to take root in the quiet that follows. The Napa Valley ballroom settles into a gentle hum, the chandeliers casting a warm, forgiving light over the tables, their crystal facets softened like stars after a storm. The weight of James's apology and Maggie's humbled words lingers, a quiet current running beneath the clink of coffee cups and the murmur of 600 guests finding their voices again. I sit, my hands resting open on the linen, the gold wedding band on its chain a steady warmth against my heart, as if William is whispering, "You've carried enough, Ellie. Now teach." The band eases into a slow melody, a tentative step toward normalcy. But the room feels different, as if the air itself has learned to listen. James stands near Sophie, his tuxedo loosened, his eyes no longer skimming past me but holding mine, searching for a path forward. Clara Bennett sips her water, her navy dress a quiet testament to the truth she set free. Maggie, my sister, adjusts her purse, her face still flushed with the realization of her misjudgment. 6 months have passed since that night, and the Napa Valley sunset has faded into memory. But its lessons burn bright. James sits across from me now, in the sleek Sacramento office of Thompson Investments, his laptop open to a spreadsheet I taught him to read. "Mom," he says, his voice careful, not performative, "this vendor's late on payments. Should we push the deadline or hold firm?" I lean back, the wedding band glinting under fluorescent lights, and nod. "Check their history first," I say. "Numbers tell stories, but you have to ask the right questions." He scribbles a note, his pen moving with a focus I hadn't seen in the boy who once mocked my ledgers. He's learning not just the math, but the habit of listening, of seeing beyond his own reflection. Sophie joins us sometimes, her questions sharp, her respect for my work unspoken but clear in the way she studies my charts. "You make it look easy," she tells me one day, her smile genuine. "It's not," I reply, "but it's worth it." But I think back to the nights after William's death, when I balanced budgets for strangers to keep James in school, when I turned foreclosed homes into assets to pay our mortgage. Those weren't hobbies, they were choices, each one a brick in the empire I built without applause. The pain of James's mockery, of standing under that Napa spotlight as a punchline, taught me something sharper. No one defines your worth but you. Don't let anyone shrink you to fit their story. I want to tell every soul who's felt invisible. Your quiet work raising kids, paying bills, building dreams no one sees matters. It's not a hobby, it's a legacy. I learned to stand tall, not by shouting, but by letting my results speak. The way $120 million in real estate speaks louder than a microphone ever could. To those listening, especially those who felt dismissed, know this. You don't need a stage to shine. If you're pouring coffee at dawn for a family that doesn't notice, or crunching numbers late at night for a dream no one believes in, your effort is enough. Keep going. Let the truth be your voice, even if it takes years to be heard. And to the ones you love, don't wait for them to ask for respect. Offer it first. Listen before you assume. James is learning that now, his questions no longer laced with condescension but with curiosity. "I want to get this right, Mom," he says one afternoon, his eyes meeting mine over a stack of reports. "You will," I reply, "if you keep listening." The band in the ballroom picks up tempo, couples swaying under the chandeliers, their shadows dancing across the oak floor. I press the wedding band, its warmth a reminder of the life I've built, the lessons I've earned. This night has reshaped us. James, Sophie, Maggie, me, but the work isn't done. I look across the room, where guests are beginning to rise, their apologies offered, their eyes changed. The truth has taken root, and I know it's time to share it with you, to ask you to carry this story forward, to make it part of something bigger. The Napa Valley ballroom fades into a soft glow, the chandelier's light now a gentle embrace, as if the night has learned to hold its breath with kindness. I stand on the terrace, the cool California air brushing my face, the vineyard stretching dark and quiet under a starlit sky. The gold wedding band on its chain rests against my heart, its warmth a quiet echo of William's voice, steadying me as it always has. The laughter that once cut me is gone, replaced by a hush of respect, earned not by my words but by the truth Clara and Sophie set free. James, Sophie, and Maggie have begun to see me not the caricature they crafted, but the woman who built a life from ledgers and love. This night, raw and real, has carved a new path, one I want to share with you. You, out there, watching this story unfold, where are you right now? Maybe you're sipping coffee in a quiet morning kitchen, or sitting up late, the glow of your screen a companion in the dark. Have you ever felt unseen? Your work dismissed as small? I see you. Your story matters, just as mine did, even when no one noticed. Share it in the comments below. Tell us what makes you stand tall. Your words will find a home with us at Unwanted Revenge, a place where quiet strength is celebrated. If this story touched you, hit that like button to let us know. Subscribe to join our community, where we honor the resilience of those who build in the shadows. Every click, every comment weaves us together, a tapestry of hearts that refuse to be diminished. I step back into the ballroom, the band's final notes fading, the wedding band glinting like a promise kept. The night has taught me that truth doesn't need a spotlight, it needs a listener. So, keep listening, keep sharing, and carry this story with you. A reminder that your worth shines brightest when you hold it close.